bring in Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett. Greg, great to have you on the couch.
Hey, good to be with you guys.
Good morning.
So we've got the mugshot. It's official. Although there was a phony one floating around the internet yesterday for a little while.
I've seen that look up close and personal.
Why?
Well, I interviewed the president before he became president, and I asked tough, challenging questions. He did not like it one bit.
Right.
And he was angry about it. And every time I see him, he reminds me of that interview.
Right.
Then I did an interview in the Oval Office when he was president for my second book, amicable interview. But in the end, I asked him some tough questions yet again. He didn't like it, declined to answer the questions, and for a flash of the moment, I saw that look on his face. You know, there's an old saying, a picture tells 1,000 words.
Right.
One word. Angry. Look at that. He's angry. And I don't blame him. This is an anemic, absurd racketeering case.
You know what? Game on. Prosecutors, local prosecutors around the country, maybe in red states, are going to say, we got a Democratic president 8 years from now.
Yeah.
I think they're underhanded. I got a little problem with this. And then you're going to watch these cases go back and forth.
And I hope
it's not going to end here.
That shouldn't happen.
But we're going to see it.
Two wrongs don't make a right. It doesn't give you a right to abuse the system of justice for partisan reasons, right, which is exactly what this is, a hyper-partisan local district attorney who wants to elevate her career is fundraising off of it, which is an egregious abuse of power and a violation of the canons of ethics that govern prosecutors. It's shameless.
Do you think this is a federal case? It shouldn't be tried locally?
And I think one of the motions that will be made, Meadows has already made it, but I think Trump will make it, that a lot of the alleged criminal acts occurred well outside the jurisdiction of Fani Willis in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Arizona. They'll move it, they'll make a motion to move it under subject matter and diversity jurisdiction to federal court, and I think they have a good shot at that. That's where it belongs, but frankly, it doesn't belong in any court of law.
Right. You were talking about how funny Willis is fundraising and changed her website. Donald Trump is actually fundraising with the same picture.
Yeah.
And the picture, you know, I was just talking to one of the producers. The picture essentially has become a Rorschach test because according to how you felt before this booking, right, you either love Donald Trump and you look at a guy who's being persecuted while he's being prosecuted, or you look at a guy who's really guilty and getting caught. So it's like both sides of the political spectrum are embracing this picture for their own uses.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Look, he knew in advance he was going to have a mugshot. He made a determination as to how he was going to appear in it.
Absolutely.
And, you know, he's conveying a message. If they can do this to me, they can do this to you.
Yeah, he didn't smile. That was probably intentional.
Yeah.
And he said he was 6'3", and what did he weigh? 215 pounds.
Yeah.
He said he had the blonde strawberry hair.
He did not swear in before giving his weight.
I don't think Fani Willis will charge him with perjury for lying about his staff.
Right.
Yeah.
We all do it.
We all do that.
That number a little
Guilty
lower,
as charged.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that I'm not accusing him of that. But what happens next now, Greg? Where does this go?
Well, in addition to an attempt to move it to federal court, I think there'll be a variety of other motions, one of which will be a motion to dismiss based on absolute immunity. Look, the President of the United States is sworn to enforce all laws. If he has reason to believe that a federal election is the victim of fraudulent voting, he has absolute immunity as President of the United States, Commander-in-Chief, to pursue that. And so he'll claim I was acting consistent with my oath of office, even though there's a dual benefit for him personally. But that doesn't shed his duty as Commander-in-Chief.
So let's talk about what's happening with Hunter Biden.
Brian, can I ask one more question about this case? What do you make at the 11th hour Donald Trump changed his criminal defense attorney, hired a new guy?
I don't think it's terribly unusual in a high-profile case. In the O.J. Simpson case, they changed attorneys just before
they just
trial.
kept adding.
Yeah, and the other thing about O.J. was he was very smart. I mean, look, I cover the trial every day in Los Angeles. I thought he was absolutely guilty, but he was shrewd. He invoked the speedy trial right, which is not a prosecutorial right, it's the defendant's right. And I think I watched this unfold. I think he caught Chris Darden and Marcia Clark unprepared. And as a consequence, that extended his benefit.
But Trump will not do that. He won't do a speedy trial because he wants these all to be.
Well, he wants to watch
the
the Chesborough trial if it occurs October 23rd. You can learn everything about the prosecution's
See the whole
case.
case.
Yeah.
All right, a little surprising there that it's severed. Meanwhile, 9 minutes after the hour. The other story that everybody on the White House wants to go away is the Hunter Biden story because it leads right to Joe and it's picking up warp speed. Now we find out it wasn't just a China visit where the vice president's son joined the president. It was about 15 separate visits. In a Freedom of Information request, there were up to 15 times in which Hunter Biden would be on Air Force Two, traveling with his dad to these countries, leave from a different exit off the plane, and then meet up and do various things. In fact, there's a quote from a Hunter Biden email with a Mexican business partner. And listen to this, February 24, 2016, right before the vice president was out the door. We are arriving late tonight on Air Force Two in Mexico City. We will be there for Thursday. I'm attending a meeting with Dad. With Dad, really. Remember, he had a deal going in Mexico City with I think it was Carlos Slim.
Yeah. I mean, look, this just underscores that they were acting in concert and that Joe Biden was an active participant. He was an accessory, aiding and abetting. We've got all of the telephone calls. He would get on the phone with the foreign business partners, America's adversaries. They weren't talking about weather. In the Burisma call on December 4th, the CEO who's under siege, he's having his assets seized by Viktor Shokin, who you interviewed. He said, get your dad on the phone. 3 days later, Joe Biden flies to Kyiv, and under an extortion attempt, he gets Shokin fired. And all of a sudden, overnight, the investigation into Hunter Biden's company that's paying him $1 million a year vanishes overnight. Zoloshevsky, the CEO, got what he paid for, influence.
The Hunter Biden case would have completely gone away had the Hunter Biden team and the prosecutor, David Weiss, up in Delaware, had they signed off on that thing. But the judge said, there's something fishy. And that's what I'm getting to. Those two IRS whistleblowers, obviously, and according to everybody who looked at this, given that David Weiss suddenly is asking for special counsel status, those whistleblowers spilling the beans on Hunter Biden and how he got special treatment, that changed the entire case.
Oh, David Weiss wasn't going to charge anything. The fix was in. It was a protection racket by Merrick Garland at the DOJ and David Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware. The calculation completely changed. But then, Weiss said, well, let's get him to cop a plea to a couple of minor misdemeanors, which is ludicrous under the circumstances.
He's got to be guilty of something.
Right. So, favorable treatment, political interference. This is a classic case.
So the question is, when we see the Vice President of the United States bragging to the Council on Foreign Relations that I landed in Ukraine and I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours.
Right.
You don't get the $1 billion unless you fire that prosecutor. And everyone's saying to themselves, what's going on here? Does that relate to anything to do with this Hunter Biden and these deals? And the answer seems to be yes. 1 week ago, it took a while with the translation and getting the White House's response. I talked to Viktor Shokin, who's living a humble life right now, basically living off their version of Social Security, who was fired by Joe Biden. So we sat there through an interpreter. You can never do it live. And I asked him the questions I think that everybody wants to know. What were you doing? How did you get fired? How do you feel? I asked him, too, why do you think you were fired? After all, he was asked by Shokin, president at the time, to come out of retirement to clean things up. Here's what he said destroyed his life and why he was fired. Listen.
I do not want to deal in unproven facts, but my firm personal conviction is that, yes, this was the case. They were being bribed. The fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion in U.S. money in exchange for my dismissal, my firing, isn't that alone a case of corruption?
So he's
right. It is a case of corruption. Look, this is a classic quid pro quo pay to play. and pay no attention to the media that says, well, none of the money actually was deposited into Joe Biden's bank account. Read the federal criminal statute, 18 U.S.C. 201. If the money goes to another person or entity other than the public office holder who's conferring a benefit to another party, a foreign national, in exchange for money, you know, that is still bribery.
Right. Has that guy, do we know whether or not that guy has been interviewed by Comer and the House Republicans? Because
He has not.
he has not?
He has not been interviewed.
And did
Well,
he
that's crazy.
say, was
He's
Hunter
telling
put
a
on
big
that
story.
board?
He should
Was
be.
Hunter put on that board after Shokin started to
He
investigate?
was on the board with Devin Archer.
Yeah.
Here's what's interesting. Devin Archer, they said, well, he had no business, he had nothing to do with the board. Devin Archer said he did. He
Yeah.
said, we put pressure to fire, that we were under pressure to get that prosecutor fired. And guess who got the prosecutor fired? The person with the only asset in that company.
Right.
Joe Biden walked in. They were being investigated, and Devin Archer said, Shokin is a problem. So he's been humiliated. He said he humiliated our country by having somebody in another country fire your chief prosecutor. Right. He
And
said he
didn't
was absolutely...
Shokin had a great reputation, right? He was
Yeah,
supposed
well,
to...
some people think he had a bad ones, but other people say he had no problem, like Poroshenko, who hired him.
Why wouldn't the
Hunter-
House Republicans talk to him, though? I
Well,
mean, he's got a great...
Well,
He was poisoned twice and rescued. He's mercury poisoned twice.
Who
I saw the
poisoned
medical.
him?
He doesn't know,
Yeah,
but he has
he should-
suspicions.
He's got a good story.
So,
if true. That
so
would be
people say,
great.
well, everybody wanted him fired. This is Victoria Nuland, who says this. We were super. This is. It says this. The U.S. Deputy Secretary Brownfield. I should get Eric Carminella, a CIA official, says, "Wow, we were super impressed with the Shokin Group. We had a 2-hour conversation about the challenges they face. Right. Then when word came up that the U.S. aid was going to be fired to Shokin ouster, the CIA guy says, yikes, I don't remember him coming up in our meeting on Tuesday. And Archer, in his testimony, said his chief objective was firing Victor Shokin."
Yeah.
So this is, who's the one who wanted him fired?
The State Department, Treasury, and Justice Department had all agreed that Shokin was doing great things in his anti-corruption crusade, deserved the $1 billion. The Interagency Policy Committee advised that this is our stance, Joe Biden. When you go to Kyiv, you were to give him the promise of $1 billion. What did Joe Biden do? Just the opposite. Why? Because his son is sitting on the board. He's demanding that Shokin be fired because Shokin's going to shut down Burisma and end the, money trail for, Hunter Biden, the gravy train. And, as I say, this is bribery. It's quid pro quo.
Here's what Nuland said, Victoria Nuland, who famously helped impeach Trump. "We have been very impressed with the ambitious reform and corruption and agenda of your government. The challenges you face are difficult but not insurmountable." That letter to Shokin. How bad a guy can he be? She switched her story, but man, when she had a different switched her story for the impeachment.
Right.
But that was her story. In 2015.
They all did. They were not forthcoming. They didn't tell the full story. They shaded it for the impeachment.
You'll see the whole thing on Saturday night.
Good. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Good job, Victor
Thanks.
Shokin.
Great
Well, I
job,
hope
Brian.
House Republicans are watching that and taking notes and calling him up if he's got that
I
story
hope
to
so,
say.
too.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's available.
Good job.
Why are they not calling him?
Thank you, Greg, for joining us
pleasure.
this morning.
Interesting. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.